அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி தனிப்பெரும் கருணை அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி. Vegetarianism and divine grace. The higher purpose of vegetarianism is to change the life of man to that of a divine stage. All the theories and practices of the vegetarian are now to be studied in the supreme light of divine grace. By the vegetable kingdom, by the mineral substances and some other objects of nature, man can live a pure and wise life in this world. Animal food is not intended for man to live a true life. By his false idea and bad and unnecessary development of taste, he is given to the practice of non-vegetarian diet. All the intellectual knowledge and enlightenment obtained by taking non-vegetarian food are not making the man humane. So he does not even understand the will and command of the omnigracious God. The SPCA, that is the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, can appeal any man of reason. Since the man is said to be a reasoning animal, he is to treat others with a spirit of true love and kindness. The mind of man is blocked now. Ignoring the spirit of his grace, he is doing harm to his fellow beings. The feeling of mercy must dawn in the mind of man, and he must love everybody as he does himself. Then only the worldly life will be a blessed one. The humanity can draw all its requirements from the nature given vegetations, and even the vegetable fat is obtainable to some degree. From the milk also one can get the fatty substances without doing harm to the life of the animal. By the gracious God, the nature is always ready to provide all the demands of people living in any clime. Therefore, if he really wishes to live upon mercy diet, he will be readily supplied in one way or other. The true self or soul of man is but eternal with all the divine attributes in latent form. In reality, the omnipresent Almighty is ever existing in the form of eternal soul and expressing out through every being or every object in the whole universe. The highest developed human being is indeed the complete evolution of the soul divine from the innermost. Hence the real man is but the divine being itself, and not a physical or even a spiritual being. Till now, the man was living on the outside, and so he tried to renounce the bodily life in order to get the soul life. Now, it is well understood that the renunciation of body for obtaining the soul life is fruitless and needless. In fact, the man is actually a divine soul being, but out of complete ignorance, he was wrongly thinking to cross the floor. He does not need to do this, but he is only to change his standpoint or his living abode to the soul plane, from where he can make a perfect life of divine grace. On this planet, the man is to develop a divine life of grace from the innermost. Residing in the soul abode, one must extend his life of true love in this world. In the beginning of this life is sustenance. Everything needed is to be drawn from the external world. Through such an external life, the sense of mental knowledge developed. In that mind, the knowledge of divine grace blossoms only at the development of stainless love. To this, the vegetarianism and mercy diet helps very much. On the other hand, the feeling of the mind is shut up against the knowledge of His grace, as one is fed up by merciless food taken in. So long as a man lives upon this sinful diet, he cannot get and taste the divine food of His grace from the innermost. Hence, he must choose the right food to live a pure life here and to acquire the higher life of bliss. Milk diet. Though the milk is rich in animal fat, it is a whole meal to the mammals or all developments in the younger life. A human child too is depending on mother's milk or others' milk for its growth. The milk of cows is also used instead of mother's milk. To the grown-ups also, the milk along with other food helps to keep up good health. Animal fat got after extinction of the life is unable to kindle the light of love in man. The animal fat obtainable from milk is, on the other hand, enlightens the soul knowledge. Besides, all the vitamins and minerals got from the vegetation are well stored up in the milk of the herbivorous animals, especially cows. So it is preferred to take cow's milk is good to all. In the higher and final stage, the man is to live on the divine spirit of grace alone, so he should not go on consuming milk and other foodstuffs till the end. Little by little, he must transform himself from the material life to the divine life of grace. All the sensuous desire pulls down the man, and so he cannot rise up unless he attaches himself to the higher life. Egg is supposed a vegetarian stuff, but it is not so, because the egg is containing the life of a chicken in subtle form. It cannot be considered as a vegetarian article. There is a great difference in the quality of life of vegetable and animal. Life in vegetable has got no sensuous feeling, so the destruction of the life cannot touch the heart of man and move him to feel very much. But the life in animal is not so. When it is cut off, the animal suffers too much and it shakes the heart of man considerably. Therefore, the animal food is to cause hindrance to get entrance in the kingdom of gracious God. Some people of researching mind say that no man can live without killing and consuming millions and millions of invisible lives in all the atmosphere surrounding us and in all the things we consume. By moving and living in the world too, we are destructing numberless lives in every moment. What all they say is true indeed, but the real purpose of life is to reach the gracious divine life, and it is really the God Himself is ever creating and destructing and at the same time evolving to express out His blessed life in the form of man. So, when the man holds himself in that gracious stage, or when he lives in God, all the actions of that person become the work of God. Thus he will be living in this world filled with all lives, only to enlighten all his fellow people coming around him. Such a great, gracious life is to be realized now by the man. Without this divine realization and life, the man was wasting all the time either by desireful or by desireless actions in this world. The world is looking for the higher inspiration and guidance from us, and we are commissioned to instruct to the aspiring humanity. Before doing so, we have to prove the theory by practical experiences. Men in any walk of life should kindly come to live in God or supreme grace, because that God or anything you may call it is the root cause of every object in the whole universe. From this innermost nucleus of an atom and from the innermost of energy, everyone, the divine force of grace is working out for all the expressions of the universe. That divine force alone is becoming and unbecoming one and all in the universe. Every external appearance is but a small temporary form of the infinite permanent force within. From this it is clear that our physical body and the soul within are but His two aspects. There is nothing but Himself and His infinite grace of omniforms in the world. In all the sensuous life, we were in great ignorance and thereby lived in all pleasures and pains. Dangers and calamities are putting the whole humanity in confusion and distress. All the religions and sciences have not brought a peaceful and blessed life in this world. Now the time has come to bring a great change in the life of humanity. That change is commencing from the innermost of man himself. When it is looked from the innermost or soul of us, we lose our selfish self and find that Almighty alone is existing to project as the forms of every one of us. In that divine stage, we feel we are of Chat, Chit, Ananda, or being, knowledge and bliss. From that divine stage, every action is set on by His grace in order to put the humanity in the eternal life of bliss. When such an inner life is chosen by the pupils of the world, there will be seen a perfect life of bliss everywhere as a first step to a true life in this world. The vegetarianism is to be observed by the people. That vegetarian practice will kindle the compassionate feeling in the heart of man towards all fellow beings. That feeling will have to flow profusely towards the fellow people. When this action takes place in every heart, each one will come to serve each other, and there will be a perfect life of coexistence everywhere. Thus, all the present problems of the explosive world can easily be solved by the divine grace. அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி தனிப்பெரும் கருணை அருட்பெருஞ்சோதி தயவு